In this session, let's take a look at some tools that we might use in a classroom-based assessment center. Sounds a little formal, but maybe it's time that we start having students think about assessment differently. By setting up some kind of student-friendly self-assessment station in the classroom, we might be encouraging kids to take some responsibility for their learning and mastery. So let's take a look at 3 tools that are free, available, that you might consider using in your regular classroom instruction. Using your textbook publisher website, there's lots of opportunities to provide practice for students with the exact content that they're using in your classroom. This is an example just from a random math book. First, I want to note that there's also on the website video tutors and other kinds of activities that give students extended practice. But let's just look at the assessment features. So for the assessments for this book, I can go to lesson quizzes, and you see I can take quizzes on every single lesson in our textbook. As a student, I could go in here, I could practice these, and I can score it by clicking Score My Test. In this way, I can get immediate feedback about how well I'm learning the content. Also notice you could go to end of the course test. So students could go in and practice as often as needed in even larger items, or larger number of items. So students could go in and use this as a pre-test. They could go in and just do it continually to become familiar with the language of the tests. And again, there's a self-scoring feature, so I can get up-to-date information on whether or not I'm mastering the content in our course. This is just one example from Prentice Hall. Most textbook publishers now have this available. Well, let's take a look at some of the other kinds of products that I was mentioning in the article. We can take a more fun approach by going to a program like StudyStack. StudyStack lets you create games using information that the teacher actually inputs. So I can use the exact same words in a quiz format where students, this is an example of a history one, students go in and take the quiz in written format, or click of the mouse if the student wanted to review as some kind of a crossword puzzle. They have the power to change the way in which the actual review or assessment activity is delivered. So StudyStack was originally created to be just a flashcard set, but as you can see here, you can do any number of things with it, including creating games, creating flashcards, creating things like Hangman, and all of these things are using the exact same words originally entered by the teacher. If you go into StudyStack and set up an account, you can create these kind of flashcards. This is the way it will first display. So once you've created your word list, students would go in, look at their cue, see if they get it correct, and they are the ones who would score themselves. Oh, didn't get that one right. And so it keeps a running record for the students. And again, they can go in and review on their own, but if they want to, they can then go change it to a different type of delivery format. So creating this type of tool for students using these kind of free websites gives them access and some control over their own learning. Finally, I'm just showing you Quizlet, which is another similar program to StudyStack. And I mentioned Quizlet because the good thing about Quizlet, I think, is that it gives you multiple ways to even deliver test questions. So again, I'll click on the home page. Once you set up an account, you can either go in and create your own or find something that somebody else has created. Notice over here you can browse by subject. Students can quiz themselves. Both Quizlet and StudyStack allow you to push those activities all the way out to a cell phone. So that really adds another layer of access for students. So here are some examples again. Telltale Heart shows up first as a flashcard, but if the student wants to take a test on it, they can click Test. If they wanted to go back and do it as some other type of activity, that is also an option. So again, these types of things are available now, free and online. So setting up a space, introducing them to students so they have a chance to go in and test their own knowledge, that's the way to put learning in kids' hands, and that should lead to enhanced achievement.